wherever you are listening or watching Radio Afinju. The time is 9 a.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfíjù. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfíjù. Rédíò. Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfíjù. Lórí WhatsApp. Àfíjù. Instagram. Àfíjù. Facebook. Àfíjù. Lórí X. Àfíjù. Lórí YouTube. Àfíjù. Lórí TikTok. Àfíjù. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfíjù. Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfíjù. Rédíò. Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo àfíjù. Rédíò àfíjù. Rédíò àfíjù. Rédíò àfíjù.
Life no get duplicate.
Na so ẹ̀mí ò láàárọ̀ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
Radio Afinju says if you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
This awareness is brought to you by Radio Afinju.
Hey there, Super Kids! Are you ready for a ride of fun and learning? Get ready to blast off on Kids Arena with Auntie Pearl and crew on Radio Afinju every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m. Listen to stories that will tickle your bones, games that will blow your mind, and music that will make you dance like no one's watching. There's also lots of surprises and gifts to be won. So gather your friends, turn up the volume, let's have fun and make awesome memories together with Auntie Pearl and crew on Radio Afinju. Yeah! Good morning, good morning. It's another Saturday here at Radio Afinju. And once it's 9 a.m., it is time for Kids Arena here on Radio Afinju. This is the fun show, the fun kids show that you should not miss out. You should always watch and you should always learn something from, because yes, definitely you are here to learn something. And I hope if you're just joining us for the first time, this is Kids Arena on Radio Afinju, where we learn, we relearn, and we also unlearn and have fun, because we play games also on this show, and then we end the show on a very, very light and happy mood. So if you're yet to follow us on our social media platforms, kindly go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, all at Radio Afinju. Also on our website, www.afinjufm.com. We are also on Radio Garden. Just type in Afinju, AFINJU. We are the only station with an impeccable dimension to broadcasting. Yeah, my name is Tolulope Awoyale. You can also call me Tiana, and I'll be your host for today. Yeah, so last week, if you joined us last week, can you remember what we talked about last week? The storytelling segment on the grammar, the word of the day, and also on our safety and hygiene. Yeah, if you've forgotten, let me just take you back to what we learned last week. Last week I told you a story about Tolu. The title of my story last week was The Shirt on Sunday. The boy that was always feeling down about him having just one shirt when other people are always wearing different shirts to church. And he eventually had a talent, a speaking talent, a debate, He won the debate eventually after his friend Jide pushed him to go to church, and then he won the debate, and they even gave him a special outfit, an official attire for the event. And that was the storytelling. That was what we listened to last week on the storytelling segment. And also on the grammar, we talked about infinitives and gerund verbs. Can you remember that? And also the word of the day, we talked about downcast. Yeah. And also on safety and hygiene, we talk about food contamination. So this week we have a different things to learn this week. So but before we go into what we have to learn this morning, we'll go on a short break, and then the first segment will be the storytelling segment, where I'll be bringing today. I don't know if our imagination is coming to life or we are going to the reality world. I don't know, but just keep watching and stay here, stay glued to Radio Afinju. After the short break, we'll dive into smooth and interesting story I have for you this morning. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back, and this is still Kiddies Arena on Radio Afinju. So now to the first segment of the show, which is the storytelling segment. Yeah, so the story for today is, the title of the story today is Zara's Kind of Beautiful. Zara's Kind of Beautiful. You know, I said I don't know if our imagination is coming to life today or we are going into the reality world. But yeah, let's just see how it goes. So, Zara loved colors, not just red, blue, or yellow, that's the usual ones, but colors no one has ever heard of. In art class, while others painted blue skies and green trees, Zara's skies were shimmering with mint orange, and the trees sparkled with midnight teal. "Why don't you paint like everyone else?" a classmate Tim asked. "It's confusing." Zara just smiled. "Because this is what it looks like in my head." One day, their teacher, Miss Naya, announced a big art competition. Everyone worked on their pieces, mountains, flowers, forests, but when Zara revealed hers, the room went silent. A painting had swirls and shades that seemed to move, colors that no one could even name. Some student giggled, one even whispered, "That's weird." Zara's heart sank. Maybe they were right. Maybe she had taken it too far this time. At home that evening, Zara stared at her canvas. Should I just repaint this and make it more normal? She wondered out loud. But something inside her said no. She painted it with joy, with honesty, with her own imagination. So she left it just as it was. The next day at the exhibition, a painting hung in a quiet corner. Parents and students walked by, tilting their heads, squinting, thinking. No one said much. But then, something unexpected happened. The judge stared at her painting for a long time. Then he leaned back and said, "I've never seen anything like this before. It doesn't remind me of anyone else. That is truly something special." Zara won the first prize, not because her painting looked like others, but because it didn't. Now the moral lesson: what makes you different is what makes you shine. Never be afraid to create your own colors. I'll take that again. What makes you different is what makes you shine. Never be afraid to create in your own colors. And that is our story for today. That's a very beautiful one, actually. The title of the story was Zara's Kind of Beautiful. You see, there's this one thing that I live by, and I always say, is that our uniqueness is what makes us dynamic and special. your uniqueness, your type of way, the way you do your things in a different way, not because everyone is doing it in a certain way. You don't, as humans, we don't have to be so linear or so straightforward. There are a lot of sides to us. There are a lot of ways we can do things. Some people might just do some things in the normal way everyone would expect, but you can also do it in a different way. In as much as you're going to end up getting the same result, you can just find your own means, and that is where the specialty, that is when the uniqueness in you comes out. So what makes you different is what makes you shine. Don't think because, okay, you're not doing it the way people are doing it, but in as much as you will still get the same end product, you will still get to the same finish line, but you're doing it right, and you're doing it in your own way, the way you understand, the way you like, the way you can portray your emotions, your feelings, your art, your creativity. That's what makes you special. So once again, what makes you different is what makes you shine. Never, never, never be too afraid or too timid or too shy to create in your own colors. So that is our story for today. Don't forget the title, which is Zara's Kind of Beautiful. So now we'll be going into the grammar segment where we talk about English language. We teach ourselves about how to put our sentences, our statements, our grammar, our grammatical structures in place and speak well, and also speak in the right way to avoid committing blunders and sparking English. Now, so the topic for our grammar segment this morning is phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs. What are phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are special expression in English language that combine a verb with one or more particles. I'll take that again. Phrasal verbs are special expression in English that combine a verb with one or more particles. And these particles are usually prepositions like in on, up, down, or adverbs like away, back, out, etc. Together, the verb and the particle create a new meaning that is often quite different from the original meaning of the verb alone. This makes them unique, colorful, and sometimes challenging to learn. Phrasal verbs are very common everyday in everyday English, especially in speaking and informal writing. Using them helps you sound more natural and fluent. Native speakers use them all the time, sometimes without realizing it. Now we'll go to the examples of phrasal verbs and how they work. Number 1, look after. Look after. This means to take care of someone or something. For example, in a statement now, she looks after her younger sister when her parents are away. So the phrasal verbs in between the sentence is looks after. She looks after her younger sister when their parents are away. Number 2, give up. Give up. This means to stop trying to do something because it is difficult or unsuccessful. For example, don't give up. You can still finish your project. So give up here is the phrasal verb in the sentence. Don't give up. You can still finish your project. Number 3, break down. Break down. This means 2 things: to stop working for something or to become very emotional and start crying. Number 1 example, the car broke down on the way to school. The car broke down on the way to school. Number 2 example, she broke in tears after hearing the news. You can see that the first example means when the car stopped working on their way to school. And then the second one is when she was crying and she just broke down in tears after hearing a bad news. Now, number 4 example is turn down. This means to reject or refuse something. Then the statement example is, he turned down the job offer because it was too far from home. More like he rejected the job offer because it was too far from home. But now, since we're talking about phrasal verbs, the phrasal verb in this sentence is he turned down the job offer because it was too far from home. Now, number 5 example, run out of. Run out of. This means to use all up of something or have nothing left. The example here is, we've run out of bread. We need to buy some more. You can also say, we have finished the bread, or the bread has finished. We need to buy some more. But we are talking about phrasal verbs here. So we'll say, we've run out of bread. We need to buy some more. Number 6 example here is bring up. This has 2 common meanings: to mention a topic in a conversation or to raise a child. Example number 1, she brought up an interesting idea during the meeting. You can say she raised an idea during the meeting. But here, since it's a phrasal verb we're talking about, she brought up an interesting idea during the meeting. Now, number 2 example is they brought up their children in a small town. They brought up their children in a small town. Number 7 example is take off. Take off. This can mean to remove something like clothes or for an airplane to leave the ground. Number 1 example is the plane took off at 8 a.m. The plane took off at 8 a.m. Example number 2 is please take off your shoes before entering. Please take off your shoes before entering. Number 8 example is this means to cancel something or that was planned. Call off. Call off. This means to cancel something that was planned. They've called off the football match because of heavy rain. You can also say they've cancelled the football match because of the heavy rain. But since we're talking about phrasal verbs here, we'll say they called off the football match because of heavy rain. Now, number 9 is get along. You can say get along with or get along. This means to have a friendly relationship with someone. The example here is I get along very well with my neighbors. I get along very well with my neighbors. Then the last one here says come across. This means to find or meet someone or something by chance. Example here, I came across an old letter from my grandmother. I came across an old letter from my grandmother. Now, the separable and inseparable phrasal verbs. Some phrasal verbs can be separated by placing the object in the middle. Turn off the TV or turn the TV off. The phrasal verb here is the turn off, right? So now we want to separate the phrasal verb. We'll say turn the TV off. But some cannot be separated. The verb and the particle must stay together. For example, now we're talking about look after. So look after the baby. We cannot say look the baby after. Look after is a phrasal verb that cannot be separated. So we'll say look after the baby, not look the baby after. The first phrasal verb I gave the example of was turn off the TV, right? And then the phrasal verb there was turn off. But we put the TV in between the turn and the off. So that is why we say turn the TV off. We can also say turn off the TV. That is a separable phrasal verb. But an inseparable phrasal verb is the look after. Look after the baby. We cannot say look the baby after or look baby after the or the baby look after. No. So that cannot be separated. We'll just say look after the baby. Now, tips for the phrasal verbs is you learn them in phrases or example sentence instead of memorizing them as single words. It is when you are constructing your sentence or your statement that is when you learn how to use them in phrases and in your sentences. Notice them when you read books, watch movies, or even listen to a native speaker. Group them by the main verb, e.g. phrasal verb with get, that's get up. the verb get on, get off, get over. Get up, get on, get off, get over. You can see that the constant thing here is get, but we are just adding another one to it to make it a phrasal verb. That is get up, get on, get off, and get over. So the up, on, off, and over are the additional one to it that makes it a phrasal verb. Now the last one for the tips for learning phrasal verbs is try to use them in your daily speech or writing to make them stick. Try to use them in your daily speech or writing to make them stick. So that is all for our grammar segment this morning, and I hope you've learned about phrasal verb. I'm going to take the meaning again. Phrasal verb. I'm going to take the meaning again. Sorry. Phrasal verbs are that combine expression that combine a verb with one or more particles, and these particles are usually preposition and like, on, up, down, or adverbs like away, back, and out, etc. Yeah, so that is that for our grammar segment this morning. But right now we'll go on a short break, and then when we come back, we'll go into the word of the day and also the current affairs and also safety and hygiene. We'll be talking about something interesting today, but don't go anywhere. Just stay right with us. We'll be right back.
maka akụkọ okwu gbasara ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị, egwu ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na Naịjirịa ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na mba ofesi, omenani, mgbasa ozi, ihe ndị a niile dị na redio Afinju. N'eziokwu, redio Afinju bụ nke izizi na radio stations na Osun State. Radio Afinju bụ amaala na ịgbasa ozi. Maka akụkọ okwu gbasara
for up-to-date tori wey no get filter. Politics matter. Sport.
Ya lo hace. Pierna derecha, directo al arco. ¡Golazo! ¡Golazo!
Culture. Naija and obodo oyibo music. Advertisement wey go reach your customer home and abroad.
This is incredible.
Na on top Radio Afinju you go hear am.
You can't be serious.
Na so. Radio Afinju be baba for all radio stations wey dey Osogbo, Osun State. Radio Afinju na better level for broadcasting.
Alrighty then. For the best music.
Show me capital business. Show me character dickiness.
Season sport presentation.
Round 10 begins. If they complete this round.
Balanced and objective news reportage. And all-round entertainment. Listen to the jewel of the pack of radios in this class. Tune in to Radio Afinju right here in Osogbo, Osun State.
What's up, Ninja? Did you miss any entertainment gist or music updates over the week? And if yes, then Catch Up is what you need to stay informed. Catch Up is loaded with 3 mind-blowing segments. Are you fascinated with the gbas on social media? Let's talk about it on What Trended over the week. Music lovers, it's time to get your playlist updated with our top 10 songs. Then, brace yourself to explore the world as we take you places. There is no other way to get you updated than Catch Up. Join Spicy Honey Drops and your radio gem on Catch Up every Saturday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. on Radio Afinju for a moment of fun. Don't worry, Catch Up got you covered.
You can drive a toothbrush, do it every day.
You're welcome back. This is still Kids Arena on Radio Afiju. And yes, we've already talked about the story that we have this morning, where we talked about Zara's kind of beautiful. And also we talked about the grammar segment also, where we talked about where we talked about when we talked about phrasal verbs, when we talked about phrasal verbs and the type of phrasal verbs that we have and how to use it in your sentence, and also I give you the tips of how to learn how to use them, to use them in your sentence and in your statement. Now we're going into the current affairs segment, which we are talking about Benin art culture. Last week, you remember that we talked about the confluence between River Niger and River Benue. Recently, we've been doing much of history. So today also, we are talking about Benin art culture. Now, the Benin Kingdom, located in the present-day Edo State, Nigeria, was founded around the 11th century and became renowned for its sophisticated art, especially the Benin bronzes that cast plaques, heads, and figures made from bronze, brass, and ivory. These artworks were created by highly skilled guilds who worked for the Oba, that is the king, and were used to decorate the royal palace and to honor ancestors and also document important events. In 1897, the British soldiers invaded Benin City in what is known as the Benin Expedition, looting and burning the royal palace. Thousands of bronze and other treasures were taken and sold to museums and collectors around the world, leading to a century-long dispersal of Benin's cultural heritage. The bronzes are celebrated worldwide for their technical brilliance and artistic beauty, showcasing advanced lost wax casting techniques that challenge old stereotypes about African art. Today, after years of advocacy, several countries, including Germany and the Netherlands, have started returning the artifacts to Nigeria. They will soon be displayed in the new institution like the Benin Royal Museum and the Museum of West African in Benin City, restoring pride, history, and identity to their rightful home. Yeah, that is about the Benin art culture. Yeah, so now we are also going into the word of the day this morning, and then the word of the day is inimitable, and this is spelled as INIMITABLE. Inimitable, meaning so good or unique that it cannot be copied or imitated. I'll pronounce it again. INIMITABLE. INIMITABLE. That means so good or unique that it cannot be copied or imitated. The synonyms that are similar in meaning of the word is unique and one of a kind or peerless. Unique, one of a kind, or peerless. Then the antonym of the word is imitable, common, ordinary, and conventional. I'll take that once again. Imitable, common, ordinary, and conventional. Now the example sentences are: number one, our inimitable sense of style made us stand out at every event. The comedian's inimitable way of delivering jokes kept the audience laughing non-stop. Though many tried to follow in his footsteps, his inimitable talent remained unmatched. Now the last example is: though some didn't understand our work at first, Zara's inimitable vision eventually won everyone over. That is in reference to the story that I told you earlier. Zara's kind of beautiful about our art. Though some didn't understand our work at first, Zara's inimitable vision eventually won everyone over. And that is the word of the day for today. So now we're going into the last segment this morning, which is the safety and hygiene. Last week we talked about food contamination, how you should, and also food hygiene, how you should keep your hands clean whenever you're handling food, how you should separate perishable and non-perishable food, and how you should cook your fresh meat very well before eating them, how to make sure that your surfaces are clean, your utensils are clean, and all of that, just how to make sure you're eating healthy and you're eating a very good food. Because you can't know what is going on in your tummy. You can only see whatever you're taking in, but you can't know how the process is in your belly. So you have to make sure that whatever you're taking in is clean. So today we're talking about water contamination. Now first, water, we all know that water is the essence of life. We drink water, we cook with it, we bathe with it, we even grow our food with water, because you can't grow your crops, you can't grow your plant without water. They need water to survive. Even as human, we need water to survive. That is why water is the essence of life. Now, what is water contamination? Water contamination occurs when harmful substances like chemicals, waste, microorganisms, they pollute the water bodies such as river, lake, ocean, and groundwater. Water contamination occurs when harmful substances like chemicals, waste, microorganisms, they pollute water bodies such as rivers, lakes, ocean, and also groundwater. So what are these contaminants, the things that you should look out for you to know, this water is a contaminated one, is chemicals, heavy metals, pathogens, plastic, and radioactive waste. I'll take that again. Chemicals, heavy metals, pathogens, plastics, radioactive waste. Now, these pollutants makes the water unsafe for drinking, cooking, agriculture, or even recreation. When you say that water does not have color, right? Yes, but you would know the difference between a dirty water and a clean water. So when you see that a water has color, it is color black, color blue, or you're seeing an oily substance on top, you're just seeing a greasy, oily kind of thing on the surface of the water, you just know that water is contaminated already. It is not good for you. It is not hygienic for you to use. It is unsafe for cooking. It is unsafe for drinking. Some people even use this traditional method and say, no matter how dirty it is, when I boil it, I'll sieve it, I'll do this. It is not good. It is not good. Even if you boil it, you sieve it, you do this, you do that, the water is still unsafe for drinking. It is unsafe for cooking. Even for agriculture, it is also unsafe. Now, what are the causes of this water contamination? We have industrial zones, overflowing land waste, and then sewage draining into rivers, and also agricultural feeds. Like now, industrial waste. What I mean by industrial waste is when factories often dump toxic chemicals like lead, mercury, arsenic into the water sources. When you have a factory or a company beside you, or an industry just in a residential area, and whatever they are using to just produce their product, making it waste out. The waste, the dirty, is just going into the water sources, is going into the river. That is really, really unsafe, and it causes water contamination. Now, we're also going, the number 2 is agricultural runoff. This is when rain washes pesticide and fertilizers into water bodies. Rain washing pesticide and fertilizers into water bodies. Pesticides, fertilizers, and animal waste from farms that washed into rivers and lakes during rain, contaminating them with nitrates and bacteria. Yes, agricultural waste can also cause water contamination, and it will make the water bad for drinking and for cooking. Especially in those rural areas where we do not have this borehole, or just a better way to just purify water. that they just take water from the river and then they drink and use for cooking and all of that. When all these farms, when they contaminate the water with fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, things that they just used to, chemicals they used to grow their plants and their crops, and they are spilling into the river, that is also a way and causes of water contamination. Now, the third one is the sewage or wastewater. That is overflowing sewer system into many parts of the world. Untreated or partially treated sewage is released directly into water bodies. This one is even very common. Sewage and wastewater. When you just pour your dirt away, maybe your trash that you've been keeping at the backyard or at the back of your house for a very long time, you just pour it into the river, you just dump it by the riverside, and then when rain would fall, rain would just pour everything and then stream everything down into the river. That is also contaminating the water. Now, number 4 is oil spill. Another cause for water contamination is oil spill. That is when the marine oil spill, accidental or illegal oil spill, can ruin aquatic ecosystem. Yes, it can also ruin the water and cause water contamination. Plastic pollution, that is when ocean filled with plastic waste, microplastic from plastic bottle to micro beads, plastic clogs waterways and enters the food chain. This one especially, you would even see it beside the riverside. You see a lot of bottles. That is when people just throw their trash into the river, or they just pour it into the drainage, and everything will just go down and then stream down to a big river. And then you see that by the riverside, you see a lot of plastic bottle waste just by the riverside. And then this water is still going down to some areas where people will just drink like that without purifying, without just doing anything. They just take it like that, and that is also a cause of water contamination. Now, the impact of water contamination on our health or environment is waterborne disease like cholera, typhoid, dysentery. They kill thousands of people daily. Long-term exposure to contaminated water can also cause cancer, kidney failure, and birth defects. This is when a person has taken a bad water, a contaminated water. You'd have just a disrupt in your system. You won't feel good. You won't feel comfortable. You'll just be having multiple pains, stomach pains, diarrhea. You'll be visiting the toilet, cholera, typhoid, dysentery, and all of that will make you feel sick. So that is the effect of what bad water and water contamination can do to our health. And also the environmental damage is polluted water harms marine life. They disrupt food chains and destroy habitat. Yes, that is when we have the chemicals inside the water. We have animals in the water that is their habitat. We have fishes and a lot of other things that are in the river or in the water. Then when all these chemicals and all these bad products just go into the water, they contaminate them and also make them lifeless, and then they die. Now the real world example. Now, Flint water crisis, we have the Gang River pollution, we have the Lake Victoria. Now, the solutions and what you and I can do to reduce and to also stop water contamination is we treat water treatment plants, green farms, community cleanups, and water fillers. Especially number 1 for the government and the industry. They should enforce a strict pollution control laws and invest in water treatment facilities. Also monitor industrial and agricultural practices and community and individuals. This goes to the industry and also the government. They should enforce strict pollution of control laws. All this industry that would just do all this chemical spillage into the water. Yes, if we have a strict law that abides by them, and then they should abide by the law, by those laws, and to stop oil spillage, chemical spillage into the water. Also, another one is avoid dumping your waste into river or drains, because some people, when you see a river flowing, or especially when rain is falling, that is when you know, oh, that dirt we have at the back, bring it out, let's just pour it and then it will go. Yes, it's going to go away from your own environment, but it's going down to someone else's environment, or is even going down to the river, and it will still stream down to some other part of this our community and society that they do not have a way to purify their water, but they just take the water like that, and that is causing a damage to their health also. And then now the conclusion on water contamination. Clean water is not a privilege, it is a right, but it's also a responsibility. So as you and I, that we are all citizens of this particular country and our community, just to keep ourselves safe and healthy, we should avoid all of these causes that will make our water being polluted, so that we can all be healthy and we can all be happy. So I hope you've learned what you should make sure that you protect your water and you protect your life. So that is that for our safety and hygiene this morning. Do not forget, protect your water and protect your life. If you protect water, you're protecting thousands of life, not just only you or your family. And that is that for the safety and hygiene this morning. I hope you've learned and enjoyed your session here on Kids Arena this morning, from our storytelling segment where we talked about Zara's Kind of Beautiful, and then the grammar where we talked about phrasal verbs, and the word of the day, inimitable, and our current affairs. We talked about the Bini Culture Act, and also now water contamination. Do not forget, because I'm going to ask you again next week when we meet here on Kids Arena. Do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, all at Radio Afinju. Till I come your way again next week, my name remains Tolulope Awoyale. I'm not going to be leaving you alone because I love you, so I'm going to be playing this song because, yeah, I really do love you. So till I see you again next week, bye-bye.
With a great big hug and a kiss from me to you.